Brandon Boston, one of the top players in all of the country. But where did this guy come from? And today, I'm just here to explain to y'all his story. A lot of you may know the 6'6", 175-pound small forward from Chatsworth, California for his flashes of greatness on the court. But he hasn't always been at the top. So let's throw it all the way back to where things started. When Brandon was just 3, that's when he first picked up a basketball and started to go to work. Brandon even goes on to say himself, "My dad used to have me in the basement dribbling the ball through my legs with gloves on until my back started hurting and I used to start crying." Now, for being a young kid, for his father just to start pushing him at that very young age, I really admire that about his father. I don't necessarily agree with pushing him to the point where he starts crying because it's hurting so bad, but at least he was pushing him. But do not get this story twisted, he enjoyed the grind. Boston even goes on to add to his statement, "I've been born with the grind. It's just fun to me to know that when working on it, you can be the best at something." And with him having this great mentality at a very young age, it was almost like he was destined for greatness. So with Brandon Boston working very hard ever since he was young, let's fast forward to the beginning of his sophomore year. Going into that sophomore year, he wasn't even nationally ranked. But after a very great and strong performance in the Nike EYBL League, he started to skyrocket up the rankings. He averaged 16.5 points per game in the summer against the best of the best athletes. And oh yeah, the most popular tournament in the AAU circuit is the Nike Peach Jam, and he averaged 21.6 points and 8 rebounds per game. So he played his best basketball when all the scouts were around and watching. And very shortly after that, that's when Boston skyrocketed into the top 10 national conversation. And he even goes on to say, 2 years ago, I was not on the map at all. Adding to that, he even goes on to state, it was maybe after my 9th grade summer, that's when I blew up. I started getting in the rankings, I played on the EYBL circuit and just balled out in front of everybody. And I mean, hey, when you average 21 points and nearly 10 rebounds per game, you're gonna skyrocket in the rankings. I don't care who you are. And one thing I deeply admired about him is how he puts God first. For me personally, I have God first in my life because I feel like without God, I am nothing. But he even goes on to say, I'm blessed. I want to thank God, my family, and my trainers. I just put in the hard work to be the best player. I need that #1 spot. It's nice to see that some of our athletes still do give credit to God. So with all this being said, Brandon Boston did decide to play his high school career at Norcross High School in Georgia. And he helped lead the team to 2 straight consecutive trips to the Class 7A championship game. But unfortunately, they wound up falling short in both games. So when he was a freshman and sophomore, he wound up coming up just short of that state championship. But when he was a junior and just started going up the rankings really fast, he had big expectations. And he wound up leading his team to a 28-4 record. And he put up very good stats while doing that. He averaged 16.2 points per game, nearly 5 rebounds, and almost 2 assists each and every night. And one thing that is very underrated about his game is his defense. He averaged right at 2 steals per game and also over 1 block. And this junior year, he wound up leading his team to the state Final Four, but they wound up losing to no other than Sharif Cooper himself. Just a little fun fact to throw in there, if y'all do not know, Sharif Cooper's team did not lose a single game last year, so that's not that bad to lose to them. And oh yeah, I've done a video on Sharif Cooper, so y'all know that kid can hoop as well. And one thing about Georgia and just the Southeast in general, there's a lot of competition. And to go along with that statement, Brandon himself even goes on to say, Georgia hoops, I think we have the most competition. He says, it's a big state and there's a variety of people. So it's hard just to compete in Georgia. I couldn't imagine how hard it is to go to the state championship almost every year. And one thing that I've noticed in Brandon Boston is that his game and his body type kind of reminds me of Brandon Ingram. And currently right now for Brandon, it's his senior year in high school and he's balling out and living up to those expectations. And oh yeah, I cannot leave this out and forget to tell y'all this. He's also now a 5-star recruit. I don't think y'all understand how good you actually have to be labeled as a 5-star recruit. They just don't hand out 5 stars. And with being a 5-star recruit, he basically has offers from every single school in the country. But just here recently, he wound up signing with Kentucky. I think Kentucky is actually a really good fit for this kid because I think he will thrive in that program. But We would just have to wait and see. With Brandon Boston having pretty solid years at his high school in Georgia, going into his senior season, he wound up deciding to transfer to Sierra Canyon in California. Now, I could not find a legitimate reason to why he transferred there. The only thing I can even assume is that he just wants to play where a powerhouse team is. But with that being said, he's balling out and having a great year so far. Brandon Boston, he's definitely a beast, and he's really been overlooked his whole life. But now he's getting that recognition that he feels like he's always deserved, and he's definitely not gonna let it slip away. But hey man, with all this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing, man? Join the family and hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. Let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.